right, welcome to Vibrational Revelations. We're truly honored to have every one of you be a part of this remarkable, conscious exploration together with Alejandro and I. Please keep in mind, every episode, I know I say the same thing, there's no judgment. And we ask each and every one of you that joins us to keep all of the stories that you've been fed, whether it's through the news or any kind of social media or any kind of narrative, to leave all the stories behind. Come with an open mind, open heart, most importantly, open heart, judgment aside, have a big heart of compassion. Remember to stay in your compassion. And as, of course, those of you that have had private readings with us, you know that there's no two journeys alike. Every journey is absolutely unique, remarkable, and beautiful. And every journey contributes to the collective experience and to the collective consciousness of humanity. Everyone matters, whether people are playing their shadow roles or they're playing in the light. It's more about where do you choose to play, right? It's always about what it is that you want to experience in this lifetime.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone plays an important role. Yes, no matter what, no matter how low or high one vibrates, everyone plays an important role. Everyone is an important piece of this puzzle in this reality.
One thing I want to also say that we have people who've asked us, maybe it's one of you, who'd asked us to post numbers like Sasha does. And actually, in our vibrational revelations, we don't want to do that because this is not what we're teaching. We're actually wanting you guys to tune in to the experience of what it is to go through a certain journey. And just by placing a numbers for us, it's actually defeating the whole purpose of what it is we're sharing with you. Yes, numbers are important, but we want you to dive in deeper. And we want you to explore, right? Explore and tune in into your innate ability to tune in, to listen to your intuition, to listen to your guidance. And the only way you'll be able to do that is not having to look for numbers, but first join, sit with yourself, and we'll go through these numbers in a moment. And as always, we'll ask you to make guesses first, because it's all about tuning in and practicing your intuitive muscle.
Yes, I think that we're not even teaching.
Yeah.
We're really just sharing, right?
We're sharing and exploring it together.
Exploring it together. So we're all of us, every one of us is a teacher and a student at the same time. So yes, because we have the wisdom within us, right? We're not really teaching, we're just reminding you of who you truly are.
Yes. Another thing that Alejandro and I recognized, and of course, sometimes it takes me a little while to get on board, and other times I'm like jumping in, I'm ready. Doing private readings and actually public readings last week that we did for Rudolf Steiner, Maria Montessori, right? Helena Blavatsky. We recognized that, you know how we give you an intuition number? And Alejandro's like, I think we need to measure different types of intuition because we give you an overall ballpark intuition. And Alejandro's like, maybe we should measure clairaudience, clairsentience, right? All these different types to see where the person stands. So I think moving forward, if we're going to do channelers or any kind of clairvoyant or psychic people, I think this will be very interesting. Yes. So this is something we might start including with very specific types of people, and perhaps in our readings, private readings as well. We haven't done it yet, but I think this will also be very interesting.
Yes, as soon as we collect enough data, we will be incorporating that into the readings.
Yes.
We're working on it.
Working on it. But to that I said right away, yes. Some things I know I take a little time to say yes to. All right, so now let's make guesses as always. First couple will be Anne Boleyn and King Henry VIII. So go ahead and place your guesses for that. Anne Boleyn and King Henry VIII, their overall vibrational frequency. Yes. Okay. The second couple is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So the second couple is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Okay. We have 96 people today. You guys are just amazing. Thank you for being here. Okay, Yoko Ono and John Lennon. Okay. Go ahead with the next.
Now, Jada Pinkett Smith
And Will.
and Will Smith.
Okay.
Now, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. You know, because I'm sinking this
Me
couch. I don't mean to glue myself to you, but it's just happening.
too. Okay. I can feel it's happening. Okay.
Couch is too soft, I guess.
Yes. Are you guys ready? So let's begin. We'll start with ladies and the couples first. So Anne Boleyn, Queen of England. She incarnated at the frequency of 400, reason. She was born at the frequency of 400, reason. And her overall frequency was 400, reason. She viewed health through the frequency of 250, neutrality. Finances she viewed through the lens of 400, reason. Creativity she viewed through the lens of love, 500. Relationships she viewed through the lens of 55. 55 is the frequency of apathy, and as we oftentimes talk, could be also tied into some other aspects, could be used as a manipulation. Personal growth she viewed through the lens of 310, which is willingness. Philanthropy, 200, which is courage. Intuition, 250, neutrality. She enjoyed her role 74% of the time. She was in her ego 96%, and 67% of that is the superior ego. I know we've had a question about what is superior and inferior ego. Just keep in mind, for those of you that are new, superior ego is the one that tells you, right, a little voice of resistance that tells you, you know it all, there is nothing for you to learn, you're it. Inferior ego is the one that tells you you're not enough, and whatever you do will never be good enough. Okay, so in the now, so she was ruled more by her superior ego. She was in the now 76%, in her integrity 47%, self-awareness 89%, clarity 89%. Her alignment with divine purpose was 82%, and her alignment with personal purpose was 79%. And we can discuss all these numbers, of course, afterwards. Her compassion was 95%. And of course, as you know, she was beheaded, and her daughter became Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth. King Henry VIII, incarnated at the frequency of 250, born at 250, his overall frequency was 310. He viewed health through the lens of 75, which is grief. Finances through the lens of love, 500. Creativity, 500, love. Relationships, frequency 25, which is shame. Personal growth, 250, which is neutrality. Philanthropy, 250, neutrality. Intuition, 250, again, neutrality. He enjoyed his role, 71%. He was in his ego, 100%. And 100% of that ego was superior. And I would say, of course, we'll talk about this, but tied in together with a relationship frequency of 25, and then we'll go into the compassion and integrity. He was absolutely a narcissist. So that's why their relationship couldn't really work, because they were both in the superior, but he was 100% in the superior ego. Mm-hmm. She was in the now, 69%. Oh, I'm sorry, King Henry. Integrity, 89%. Self-awareness, 92%. He was in his clarity, 92%. He was aligned with his divine purpose, 92%. Aligned with personal purpose, 100%. He was in his compassion, 49%. So not very compassionate. No wonder he was killing, I don't know, a couple of his wives. Had him beheaded for not giving him the son he wanted. All right, let's move on. Alejandro was like, why are you choosing this couple? I'm like, well, we have to. They're a historical couple. They had this, very famous love affair that ended really tragically. Mm-hmm. But now we'll move on to somebody else. Yoko Ono.
It makes total sense.
It does.
Especially for Valentine's.
Okay.
We can tell you don't like holidays.
I mean, I like it, but I've always been fascinated by both of them.
I'm kidding. I think.
And I wanted to know the truth. Like, was she really cheating on him? We'll talk about that afterwards. Like his accusations of why he had her beheaded. Okay, Yoko Ono. Incarnated at the frequency of love, 525. Born at the frequency of reason, 400. Her overall frequency today is 500, love. I think when we read this couple, I fell in love with them all over again. Health, she views through the lens of joy, 540. Finances through the lens of reason, 400. Creativity, 540, which is the frequency of joy. She views relationships through the lens of 250, and this is probably overall. This is a lens of neutrality. So right now, she's most likely in her observation mode. Personal growth, Yoko Ono is committed to her personal enlightenment, frequency of 700. Philanthropy, 525, love. Intuition, 650, which is the frequency of peace. Remarkable. She enjoys playing her role, 92%. She's in her ego, 77%. And in that ego, the inferior ego rules at 78%. She's in the now, 92%. Integrity, 97%. Imagine that paired up with a frequency of love. Powerful. Self-awareness, 95%. Clarity, 96%. She's 100% aligned with her personal and divine purpose. She's living fully on purpose. Her compassion is at 98%, and her energy purity is at 96%. Remarkable. John Lennon. Whenever I think of them, I think of the song, Imagine. Mm-hmm. All right. Incarnated at the frequency of 500, love. Born at the frequency of 250, neutrality. His overall frequency was 525. So if you want to see if these two people were vibrationally matched, they were a perfect vibrational match. They were both at love frequency. Health, he viewed through the lens of 310, willingness. Finances, through the lens of joy, 540. Creativity, John Lennon's creativity was 750, enlightened relationship. Relationships, he viewed through the lens of 525. Beautiful. Personal growth, 540, joy. Philanthropy, 250. Intuition, 650s. They both had actually the same intuition frequency. He enjoyed his role, 94%. He was in his ego, 67%. And out of that, 75% was the inferior ego, the not good enough, right? He was in the now, 89%. Integrity, 97%. He was in his self-awareness and both in his clarity at 93%. Alignment with divine purpose, 97%. He was aligned with his personal purpose at 94%. And his compassion was 99%. You know, when I started reading it, I felt like I tuned into him. I had tears come up.
Mm-hmm.
I was very inspired. When we did this reading, I was extremely inspired. You too, right? I'm touched by both of them. But Yoko Ono, remarkable. To still remain in her love frequency. It's beautiful.
Compassion, 99%.
99%. Okay, last couple on my end, and then Alejandro will do his revelations. Prince Harry. Prince Harry, incarnated at the frequency of love, 500. Born at the frequency of love, 500. And his overall frequency today is 500. Actually, when we read him, he felt he was very much bringing his mother's essence.
Mm-hmm.
As those of you that have watched the episode on Princess Diana, we encourage you, of course, to watch that episode. It was revealed with Dalai Lama, Jeffrey Epstein. But yes, so he has this love frequency all across. He views his health through the lens of love, 500. Finances, 500, love. Creativity, 200, courage. Relationships, frequency of 500, love. Personal growth, 500, love. Philanthropy, 540, joy. Intuition, 500, love. He's like, what'd you call him? You called him the goldfish.
I did.
You did. You did. He enjoys his role, 94%. He's in his ego, 88%. And out of that 88%, the inferior ego is 71%, which is the one that tells you you're not good enough. He's in the now, 89%. In his integrity, 100%. Self-awareness, 93%. Clarity, 94%. He's aligned with his divine purpose, 97%. And his alignment with personal purpose, 100%. That's remarkable because he's young, really young. His compassion is at 95%. Energy purity, 96%. Remarkable. All right, his wife, Meghan Markle, incarnated at the frequency of 250, born at the frequency of 250, and her overall frequency today is 250. She views health through the lens of 110, fear. Finances through the lens of 110, fear. Creativity, 540, which is joy. So it makes sense that she was an actress. She views relationships through the frequency of 55. Personal growth, 400, reason. Philanthropy, 250, neutrality. Intuition, 250, neutrality. She enjoys her role, 88%. She's in her ego, 96%. And out of that 96%, she's ruled by the superior ego at 66%. She's in the now, 70%. In her integrity, 79%. Self-awareness, 85%. Clarity, 87%. Her alignment with divine purpose is 88%. Alignment with personal purpose, 100%. She's in her compassion, 68%. And energy purity, 74%. So we'll answer all the questions after.
Now, next, Catherine Zira Sita Jones. She incarnated at the frequency of 200, which is the level of courage. Was born at the frequency of 100, the level of fear. and her overall vibrational frequency is 200, the level of courage. She views health through the lens of guilt at 30, views finances through the lens of fear at 110, views creativity through the lens of love at 500. Makes sense, right? She's an actress. Relationships at 100, the level of fear. Personal growth, 500. She has a loving relationship with this aspect. Philanthropy at 250, which is the level of neutrality. Intuition, 100, the level of fear. She's enjoying her role at 59%. She's in the ego, 97%, and out of that 97%, 82% represents the superior version of the ego. Therefore, 18% is the inferior. Right? In the now, or in the present moment, 59%. She's 100% in her integrity. Her self-awareness is at 79%. Clarity, 89%. Alignment with divine purpose at 89%. And alignment with personal purpose at 98%. Compassion at 80%. And energy purity at 83%. We only do energy purity for those that are alive. Yes. Now, Michael Douglas. He incarnated at the frequency of 300, was born at the frequency of 100, level of fear.
110.
110, I'm sorry, level of fear. His overall vibrational frequency is 400, the level of reason, high intellect. Health, 100, level of fear. Finances, 540, the level of joy. Creativity, 650, that's the peace level. Relationships, 250, the neutrality level. Personal growth, 500. Philanthropy, 250. Intuition, 250, that's neutrality. He enjoys his role, 91%. He's in the ego, 76%. And out of that 76%, 60% represents the inferior version of the ego. In the now or in the present moment, 91%. His integrity, 96%. His self-awareness, 89%. Clarity, 90%. His alignment with his divine purpose, 97%. His alignment with his personal purpose, 100%. Compassion, he's at 95%. And his energy purity, 93%.
So they had a match for personal growth. They were both had a love relationship. They were both committed to personal growth.
Yes, and also creativity.
Yes.
Not exactly the same, but also very high levels there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jada Pinkett Smith. She incarnated at the frequency of 250, neutrality, was born at the frequency of 110, the level of fear, and her overall vibrational frequency is 300, which is the level of courage, almost approaching willingness, right? Willingness begins at 310. Health at 500. Finances, 200. Creativity, 500. Relationships, 110. Personal growth, 400. Philanthropy, 250. Intuition, 110. In the joy, as of how much she's enjoying her role, 89%. In the ego, 96%, and out of that 96%, 84% represents the superior version of the ego. In the now or in the present moment, 72%. Integrity, 97%. Self-awareness, 95%. Clarity, 96%. Alignment with divine purpose, 94%. In alignment with personal purpose, 98%. Her compassion is at 89%, and her energy purity is at 82%. Now with Will Smith, Jada's husband, he incarnated at the frequency of 250, neutrality, was born at the same frequency, 250. He was not impacted by whatever his mother was experiencing while he was in utero. His overall vibrational frequency is 400, reason, high intellect. Health at 400, finances 500, creativity 540, relationships 400, personal growth 540, philanthropy 450, intuition 400, kind of consistent, right? Almost the same range.
Yeah.
In joy, he's enjoying his role 92%. In the ego, 89%, which 65% of that 89% represents the inferior version of the ego. In the now, 91%. Integrity at 98%. Self-awareness, 93%. Clarity, also 93%. His alignment with divine purpose is at 98%, and his alignment with personal purpose is at 100%. Compassion at 97%, and his energy purity is also at 97%. Yes.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. So we'll be opening up for questions now. So if you guys want to, let's see, we'll go through your questions now. Any questions? Oh, Chanel wrote, wow, she was really misunderstood.
Who? Yoko.
Oh, what was Will Smith's relationships?
Relationships 400.
400. Reason, intellect.
Yes.
Let's see. So like I said, it shows again how media destroys our perception of people. Yes, I would say not only does media destroy perception of the people, but also all these other narratives. Like we have people that are writing to us and saying, oh, I thought this so-and-so was evil. I'm like, I've never heard of it. Like, where does all this information come from? So also very interesting. Does the relationship as a unit have a frequency? Yes, that's what we give.
As a unit.
Oh, you mean as a unit
combined.
for a couple? I would say look at how they relate to each other, because that gives you an insight, how they view relationships. So you can never combine, maybe you could combine an overall unit, but I would say...
You can only average it, but it wouldn't make any sense. And it's on an individual basis, always.
Yes.
It's how they relate to that aspect.
Yes, Margaret has a good point. She says couples who are in their superior ego seem not to work well. Yes, but due to the inferior ego do better. I would say yes, because they would be more of like pleasers, people pleasers, right? Wanting to please each other versus who's going to overdo who. Soulmates, what is the frequency?
Who's going to be the dictator, no, in the relationship?
Natalie's asking soulmates, what is the frequency? I don't know, because I think soulmates to me represent, it could be your child, your friend, right? We can all be actually each other's soulmates. Soulmates means more of learning something from relationships. I think it's a very
soulmates at any level.
At any level.
Right.
I would say we look more at a vibrational match. And as you've probably heard, and you might want to go back into, actually Lara gave a great explanation when she revealed our astrological chart, right? And she said there's a big difference between being twins versus soulmates. And I agree with that. I think soulmates, I mean, I find some of my friends and my kids definitely are my soulmates. I'm sure many of you here as well. I think we're all soul family because we're all interested and are in the same kind of wave of exploring reality together. So that makes us all soulmates. Let's see. Okay, is there any way of telling if the best match for a couple in the ego is the one that is superior or the other part is inferior? I would say it's important to look at several criteria if you're looking at a relationship. First of all, it's how you relate to each other. Let's say if you are committed to personal growth and your partner is not, which you can see that clearly, right? That would be a big mismatch. And actually quite a few relationships that we've looked into that were unhappy, let's say relationships, marriages, there was definitely a very clear mismatch as far as frequencies, ego, and what each person was committed to. If one was interested in personal growth and was at a certain frequency, and the other one was more of a narcissistic kind of personality.
Relationships, overall vibrational frequency, relationships, compassion.
Yeah.
Yes, and in the ego definitely are key factors there, along with then integrity, of course.
Yes, right. Exactly. If someone is vibrating at 100 fear in relationships, what does it look like? I think it depends. Every case is unique and different. So maybe you had trauma as a child, and that is always in the back, right? That about feeling safe. I would say safety would be, it's a very different frequency when you have relationship at 100 versus 50s or lower, right? Or 20, like we've explored 20 in relationships. That's a very different unprocessed emotion. So a lot of it, of course, comes from childhood, and then, of course, the life experiences of what the person goes through. So it's all on the individual basis. It all depends on where are the other numbers. We can't just extract a frequency of fear, unprocessed fear in one aspect and not look at everything else, because maybe that person is high in the integrity. They have other really great numbers. So again, it's all based on the whole picture individually. It's important to look at it. But sometimes we actually have experienced people who are in that frequency and other numbers are also low, right? And there's, so it.
But they can also have high numbers in compassion. So even though
they have fear, right?
Right.
And just keep in mind, I'm sure everyone here has experienced fear, in some kind of fear, whether it's in relationships or health. We all go through these emotions. It's more about how long you're staying in that frequency, how long you're staying and expanding on that. And also all depends on the trauma that you've experienced as a child and then throughout your life, because then we choose different soulmates, different partners, whether it's friends, teachers, whoever it might be. Everyone is a teacher. Based on something that still needs healing, right, within ourselves. So we choose people a lot of times that help or remind us of what parts of us still need to heal within ourselves. And
healing or just the need to something that needs to be experienced, and rather it is for, growth. I think in general, right? Rather healing or to learn a lesson. But I'll look at it more as for the sake of the experience. And you could feel that you have met a soulmate if there is a vibrational match when it comes to different aspects, right? Because you could be a vibrational match when it comes to creativity, the aspect of creativity, and then personal growth as well. Then you feel like, oh my God, I've just found my soulmate, because you're exchanging ideas and expanding on what you want to explore. And it happens that you both want to explore the same thing, the same subject. But then when you go beyond that and look at all the other numbers, or you spend more time with that person and you stop being creative, well, then it's no longer about the aspect of creativity, no longer about the aspect of personal growth. Then when it comes to relationships, one of them or both have an unprocessed emotion that is creating major resistance, then the situations arise and it could turn into a complicated relationship,
Yes.
right? So it's about looking at the whole chart and comparing all the numbers, the most important ones, critical ones, to have just an idea of how that could unfold. But at the end, since it's all about the experience, I think we know best, number one, tuning in and see how it feels without taking into consideration the preconceived ideas of how this is supposed to be or look like or feel like. So therefore, we're not attached to the outcome, and we just tune in and feel. And if it feels good and it resonates fully, then feel free to explore it until it no longer feels like it.
Yes.
Right?
Somebody asked a great question. Actually, Carol asked a great question. Can Harry and Meghan work as a couple because they're at such different vibrations? So I would say her commitment to personal growth is at 400. So it's possible because of her commitment, she's open to exploring the aspect of personal growth. Of course, she has a lot of unprocessed emotions. So it will depend. This is to be determined. What would you say?
About what I'm saying?
Can they work as a couple long term if they have different vibrations? I would say because of the personal growth that there is a potential, but you can give your insight.
Make a prediction or based on the numbers?
Just based on the numbers, we cannot predict.
Generally speaking.
Yeah, generally speaking. You hold it, my love. I'll put on this so I can see people's faces too, because I can't see anybody here at the moment. Yeah, generally speaking. You guys are not expecting us to predict because we can't predict. There's free will at stake, so we can't. But we can tell you what we feel.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. I would say the biggest,
the personal growth, at least they have that to their favor, right?
Yes.
And on top of that, they're both vibrating at a frequency that is on the side of power.
Yes, but I would say the red flag to me is the relationship area.
And the
55
ego,
and 500, and the ego
for her, but still.
He might want to just be the rescuer because he's in that love
frequency.
Love frequency.
He's in the joy and in the now and after. He's in full integrity.
And compassion.
And compassion is high as well, right? So, and all of his numbers are in the
power zone.
Power end of the spectrum. So yes, all depends, right? There's a dance. And of course, there is potential. I think that's the reason why they came together in the first place.
Yes. Let's see. To be determined. To be determined. Okay, let's take some more questions. Let me scroll down. Belladonna says, Harry and Meghan, not such a perfect match. I mean, what is a perfect match? I would say that sometimes we come together and what is actually perfect is when there's something that can be revealed to be healed within ourselves. So in that sense, it is perfect and it is divinely orchestrated. And it's going to be up to them to see if they want to stay and work on it and explore and expand, right? So I can't say, I mean, this is very drastic. Let's say if his frequency was 500 and his partner was 55 overall frequency, that's a completely different story. But because she's at 250, she has a lot of unprocessed emotions for sure. And he's just coming from a very light place. And they had such a drastic upbringing too, drastically different. So he's seeing through the lens of love. As my sister says, that I always see through the lens of, what did she say? Rose-colored glasses. Yeah, that would be me. That's how I would, you know. And he was probably, well, the fact that they left, right, the royal family and moved. So he's absolutely wanting to make it work. Yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens. They're both young.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So soulmate frequencies, Natalie's asking, that could be any frequency. I mean, two 55s can come together and they're a perfect soulmate match.
Yes.
Right?
Like Jeffrey Epstein and
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell. They were.
Match made in heaven.
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Charnel says people destroy people. They were jealous of Yoko and felt it might take away from the band fear. Yes.
Very possible. Yes.
Very possible. I was surprised, Leslie wrote, by both Yoko Ono and John, as they have been very distant and cruel to John's son by the first marriage. I cannot comment on it. And I don't know what her frequency was at that time. And I don't know
what exactly they were
happened and where these stories are coming from. You know, one thing we learned from doing private readings is there's always a bigger lesson, a bigger story. And unfortunately, everything that we hear in the news, whether it's news or the alternative news, is not always accurate. So please keep it in mind. This is why we always say, keep all of your preconceived notions, stories, whatever you've read, put it aside, come with an open heart, and we're here to explore. This is what we're doing, exploring. And this is the only way, actually, we do readings. They're not psychic, as some of you who are joining us for the first time. We don't psychically retrieve this information. And then people who come in and say, well, this is wrong, you channeled this wrong. We don't channel this information. We actually retrieve it from the field. It comes as it comes. And this is the beauty of it, is we have no idea what the stories are. And of course, some people we truly resonate with. I'm sure it's for those of you that have seen me talk about Dr. Bruce Lipton, I get all excited because I just love him. So there's a couple of people that, because of my path that I've been on my medical journey, some people I'm familiar with. But a lot of these people that we are revealing to you, I personally have never really read anything about many of them. Many of the people we have revealed to you, we've never even heard of. Thanks to you. Like last week, we did a revelation. There's a couple of people I've never even heard of, but I'm like, okay, people want it, let's do it. And that's the beauty of it, is we're not attached to any of the stories. Jas wrote, gosh, again, influenced by ridiculous gossip. Oh, good, Jas, we have no idea what this gossip was. Slowly, every week, may we learn to drop the perceptions completely. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we're not influenced by it because we don't even know. I'd rather not know. Is it possible for someone or a couple, for that matter, to vibrate above 200 and be in service to self over service to others? Not related to this show, but something I've been thinking of since watching the show. Be of service to self, but not... I would say, and Alejandro can answer that too.
You say.
Okay, I'll say it first. In order to be of service to humanity, you have to first be of service to yourself. If you don't have compassion for you, your own journey, okay, you cannot have compassion for anyone on this planet. It's the same way, you know, when you hear, as you board the plane, it's probably been a year or two since you boarded a plane, but they say, make sure that if a plane is going down, you put a mask on yourself first before you put a mask on your child. So it's not about, being of service is not about being selfish. Okay, there's a difference when you're being in your narcissistic, superior ego versus being in your full compassion and knowing that boundaries exist in order for you to fulfill whatever it is needed, right? To fill up your own cup with your own light in order to serve others. Do you want to say something too?
No, that's great. Perfect.
Okay.
Well, almost perfect.
Okay. Anything else you want to add? Mary Rose says, I get surprised by some. Wondering if Megan offers Harry the creativity and confidence. I think they both had, his creativity was at 200. Maybe she adds fun to his life because he was in the royal household for too many years. She's just probably...
Well, I think he was having fun.
He was having fun. Okay.
He was definitely enjoying his role. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Let's see. Wondering if John Lennon, Margaret wrote, okay, John Lennon's frequencies were probably much higher, which exactly, because we read his frequency at that time, right? And she had 40 years to raise hers. Margaret, quite possible. I think that's a possibility. Yes.
Very interesting to
go back and see where she was
and compare the numbers
when they were in that relationship. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Anne Boleyn, Leslie wrote, had good intuition, but didn't suspect she was going to be discarded. Well, but her relationships, Anne Boleyn's relationships, so it's not that her intuition was at 250, right? Her relationships were at 55. Her integrity was extremely low, right? 47%, and she was in her superior ego. Actually, a narcissist. So she had narcissistic tendencies
Yes.
and manipulative tendencies. So actually, we had a discussion. We would say that she would be somebody that would be the reason that Henry VIII had her executed is because of the allegations that she was cheating on him. And based on this reading, we thought most likely she was.
She was what? I'm sorry.
Cheating on King Henry because of these frequencies, because of the integrity at 47% paired up with relationships at 55. So you have to look at combination of
it is possible, but since I was not an eyewitness.
This is what we concluded based on the integrity and the relationship.
There's a possibility. It was, if that was a reason, that was definitely his reason, right?
His reason.
Which was a crazy reason.
Of course, he executed. And his relationships were 25 frequency.
Which is shame.
Shame. And he was also in his superior ego 100%. So they just kind of butted heads. They had a very fiery start. And then it went down spiraled down really quickly.
They probably had a crazy honeymoon for sure. And then
honeymoon was over.
Honeymoon on fire.
Yeah. Is there any way in the numbers that you can see that they were killed? Usually we can see if somebody committed suicide. We've talked about that before, right? That would be where your
health
area and alignment with divine purpose. And sometimes
joy as well.
Joy, yeah,
right.
Lead to, you could see in the depression. There's a couple of aspects where we can see that. Soulmates, okay, let's see. So were they a soulmate, King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn? Probably. They came to, for whatever reason, actually after that, their daughter became the queen. So they came together for a reason. Taya is writing, will be interesting to see how Meghan and Harry make out with such different frequencies. I also wonder how much influence a higher frequency has on someone who's lower. Well, I would say that their frequencies are not that far. I mean, they are far, up to 50 and 500, but it would be a different story if it was, let's say, 75, 55, and 500. So, and because she's open to personal growth, I'm sure that she's, well, let's see. It's to be determined. We're not going to predict. Do you want to read some of these? Chantal is asking.
I wonder if those who are on the frequency of love tend to look at others through rose-colored glasses. Therefore, choose a mate without seeing clearly.
That can be. I've been guilty of that.
You? Yes, really?
Before you.
Oh, okay. Happy Valentines to you too.
It's possible.
Me love you a long time. I wonder. Okay, yes, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yes, like I said, maybe we think or feel that we have found our soulmate because there is a match, vibrational match, when it comes to one particular aspect of couple of aspects. But then the crucial ones are out of alignment, right? So kind of like you both could be interested in personal growth, and you're all excited. Finally found someone who's an open-minded individual, right? And your adrenaline is going through the roof. But then after you start doing other things, they're not related to personal growth, or then you're confronted with a challenge within the aspect of relationships and philanthropy. Then you start seeing some red flags, right? They're really not in alignment.
When the reality sinks in.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Let's see, what else? Carol wrote, obviously Harry is a rescuer and Meghan needs to be rescued.
Pray for them. They have another bambino on the way.
That's do. Right. I know.
For that yesterday.
Yes. A couple of days ago, I saw that they're having a baby. So we wish them.
So it's going to be a bambino.
Yeah, that's good.
Wonderful. Carol Binta.
Yes, Carol. Okay. Yeah, it's about the baggage one brings into relationship. I mean, for me, I can share like from my past experience. I tend to see the best in people. I see their full potential and it excites me. So that's maybe the rose-colored glasses. Yes. So probably somebody who has a fully open heart sees that first. And then the reality hits. Let's see. Can you tell us which dimensions they live in? Well, we're not measuring dimensions for these readings. We didn't do that. Since Harry and Meghan are both interested in personal growth, maybe he can help her grow, whereas she has lower numbers than he has.
Yes, definitely.
Possibly. Everybody's interested in them. Wow, I didn't realize that was like it. I actually we weren't gonna read the couple, and then a couple of you.
I thought it was a good pick.
I was like, why do we have to do them? Definitely. But anyway, okay, wow. I guess it's the thing.
A lot of people
would want that. You're right.
Are interested, and I think yes, and somehow we have found that often mothers increase their vibrational frequency during pregnancy or right after they give birth, and so they drop into their hearts.
Women tend to do that. Yeah.
Tend to do that often. Yes. So that could maybe cause some sort of
expansion. And he's bathing her in love, so maybe it's gonna rub off.
Exactly.
Kim says, what I take away every week is to process my own judgment and learn to detach from it, observe it. That's beautiful. Yes. Interesting that Will and Jada, Carol says, incarnated at the same frequency. They seem to be a good match, with Will rising the vibration of the couple of this love frequency. I think he was a little, right? A little, I don't have their numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He's pretty
They're similar
close.
in many ways. But there's,
relationships for her is 110.
She has
That's the only one.
And she is in her superior ego.
She's superior, but he's more in his inferior.
So they're having that dance.
Right.
Oh, Karen says, why did King Henry have Anne killed? Because he was told that she was cheating on him with several people in the court. Actually, there's one of the books I read like 15 years ago, King Henry VIII and his wives. I was always fascinated. How is it possible that he killed so many of his wives? And he made himself the head of church. He separated from, yes, he was a very special person.
Very narcissistic.
Yes, 100% superior ego. Could Harry be her teacher? Of course, and she's also his teacher. Anyone is a teacher. Anyone you learn from. So what elements need to be aligned for what you would consider a match? Frequency, relationships area, personal growth. It depends what a person is seeking. So again, every case is different. So if, let's say, you're somebody who is seeking or interested in personal growth, you would want a partner who's also interested in personal growth, and you would want your frequencies matched there, your frequencies matched in your relationship area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you are on the side of power,
Over 200.
over 200, and also with similar compassion levels and integrity levels as
Yes.
well, right? Yes, that those.
Let's say you are at a certain frequency and you're very honest and loyal, right? Your integrity is high. You want to make sure your partner is also in their full integrity, right? That makes sense. We never know what she went through in Hollywood. Yes.
Yes, that is a tough place.